need to do is keep travelling close to the speed of light, and life on Earth will race by much quicker than your personal experience of time. Travelling close to light speed is no easy task though. It would require absolutely enormous amounts of energy. Imagine how disappointed you'd be if you got out of your bed and still no one had invented extra or those microwaves make your beer cold in an instant. Without those, the future is totally pointless. Travelling to the past is a little tricky, and we'd almost certainly need some sort of wormhole to achieve it, but it's at least theoretically possible. Having a wormhole to the past would not defy the laws of physics, even if it does lead to the potential for paradoxes, such as the bootstrap paradox. This could be where a young man travels back in time, meets a girl and gets her pregnant. He leaves because he didn't get into the time machine, tied down, but the woman gives birth to a boy, who ends up being the time traveller himself. He is, without knowing it, his own dad. It would make parents' evening at school very confusing. So, time is maybe never. What it doesn't matter what it is or how long it is. It's what you do with it that counts. Thanks for the view. Subscribe for more. 42. He had simply got to a local pub and was walking home past the palace at 7 AM when he decided to go for a stroll through the halls of possibly the world's most famous residence. Just outside of Munich lies a sleepy village called Fuggerau, where the rent for a whole year is just under €1.
Hey, 42 here. The universe is everything. There is nothing else. At least as far as we know. There are theories that say there are other universes and our universe is part of a much larger multiverse. This very well may be true, but so far we don't have strong enough evidence to back up such theories. It is, however, common knowledge that the universe is expanding. This is undeniably true. Scientists have observed the distance between large objects in space, such as galaxies, and have found that the distance between them is increasing. They all seem to be moving away from each other. This leaves only one plausible explanation. The universe is expanding. This means that all the time new space is being created and the physical size of the universe is actually increasing. Just like blowing up a balloon. Let's just hope this one doesn't do it. So that leaves one inevitable, burning question. If the universe is expanding, what is expanding into? Is the universe expanding into a multiverse like some astronomers say? Or are we all inside a giant hole? Let's find out. The answer to this age-old question depends entirely on whether the universe is truly infinite or not. If you subscribe to the theory that the universe is infinite, then the answer to the question, what is the universe expanding into, can only be nothing. Because if the universe is expanding, then that means new space-time is constantly being added. It's just like the construction of new real estate in space, but the universe doesn't have to apply for planning permission beforehand. This new real estate is a brand new area that galaxies can occupy. But you can't add new space to an infinite area, because it's infinite. It continues forever. It has no end, no boundaries, and no measurements. So if the universe is truly infinite, then the universe is expanding into nothing. As simple as that. Well, it can be simple if you sweep all that bloody mathematics under the carpet. Don't look. But most people have a really difficult time understanding the concept of infinity. And we have an even harder time understanding the concept of nothing. Just try and think about nothing. You can't. It's impossible. And that is not nothing. It's something. Kittens. And now you're thinking about kittens. My point is, the human brain isn't sufficiently equipped to understand these concepts. It just doesn't have the necessary tools. But that's okay, because you may not need to. Let's imagine for a minute that the universe is finite. It has boundaries. It may be flat, round, or some weird ass donut shape, but that doesn't matter. Let's just pretend that we know for certain the universe has an end and we can step beyond that wall outside. By the way, this is all totally theoretical now, because the current most widely accepted notion within the scientific community is that the universe is infinite. But that means the answer is just nothing, and that's pretty boring. So let's say it's not. After all, the concept of an infinite universe is just a theory, and theories can change, or be thrown out at any moment. So, the universe is infinite. Well, you've really let all the wacky, weirdo, nutjob scientists with their theoretical physics degrees and science fiction fetishes in, and they have endless theories. Seriously, there are so many different answers to this question, you'll want to travel to another dimension when you've read them. But let's put our objectivity hats on and take a look at a couple of the more popular theories out there. One theory is that we are living inside a black hole. Some believe that every time a new black hole opens, a new universe is created at the other end of it. For a long time it has been theorized that objects known as white holes exist, and they are essentially the complete opposite of black holes. A black hole sucks in matter, whereas a white hole spews out matter, like making a smoothie and leaving the lid off the blender. To put it simply, shit gets messy. The theory states that anything that enters a black hole eventually finds itself being spewed out of a white hole somewhere else completely different within the space-time continuum. But if white holes do exist, they will be extremely unstable and would only last for a few seconds before disappearing. Unlike black holes, some people believe that the Big Bang was actually a black hole, like an excellent black hole in the universe. Yep, that's right, our entire universe and everything we know could have been created as a result of a star dying and forming a black hole in another universe. Or possibly even just very, very far away in our own universe. Which would mean that we are living inside a black hole, and our universe is expanding into an even larger parent universe. But that's just one theory. Another popular theory is the multiverse theory, which states that our universe is just one universe amongst many other parallel universes, like a stack of flat discs, and our entire universe is contained inside just one of those discs. If this is true, then our universe is expanding into whatever space is surrounding our universe and our other neighbouring parallel universes. Sadly, the truth is, we currently have no idea what, if anything, lies beyond our universe. That's because if the universe is finite and it does have a boundary, then we can't detect that boundary, because with our current technology, we can only see space. This is known as the observable universe. The observable universe is a radius surrounding us in every direction, which is 90 billion light years across. The light from everything inside that has had enough time to reach our galaxy in the universe has been in existence. But the universe is expanding. It's highly probable that we will never be able to see beyond the observable universe. Because objects beyond the limits of the observable universe are moving away from us. That means if the light from those objects hasn't reached us by now, it never will. So, we may never be able to detect the boundaries of our own universe, if they exist. And unless we find that boundary, we can never know for certain what lies beyond. But scientific technology is rapidly improving, and nobody knows what mind-blowing discoveries previously seen will become very real in the near future. So always keep an open mind and never stop asking questions, because if it weren't for that, then the human race would be where it is today. Thanks for the view, subscribe for more 42.
Hey, 42 here. Space. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but it's pretty big. So, when you're choosing how to get somewhere, your choice of transport is rather important. For example, if you wanted to drive the 400,000 kilometers to the moon, it would take you about 6 months, so long as space traffic was okay. In August, they announced the discovery of a new planet orbiting the nearest neighbouring star, Proxima Centauri, that has the possibility of inhabiting.
can we realistically get it? And if we do, will it be made of cheese? Because as tasty as that would be, it's not very practical. Proxima Centauri is just over 4 light years away, to the size of the universe. However, the fastest spacecraft we've ever sent out, Voyager 1, has only covered 1/600th of a light year in 30 years. At this rate, it will take us over 80,000 years to reach Proxima Centauri, so quite a long journey. No, Dave, we're not there yet. Go play another 8,000 hours. Oh, it's boring, you say? I need to bring MGS5, but oh no. But the biggest problem of all is fuel. There is no way we could carry enough mass for regular rocket propulsion. So what are the other options? How do you make a futuristic space drive? The first, very elegant option is a sail. Obviously there is no air out there in the vacuum of space, but it's certainly not empty. There's all kinds of particles and waves shooting around. A solar sail works through solar radiation pressure. When a light particle hits a mirrored surface, it reflects, but the mirror gets a tiny backward reflection force as well. Like if you threw a tennis ball at an elephant sat on ice, it would slide away ever so slightly. I'm not sure why you would be doing this, but let your imagination go wild. It was Johannes Kepler who first noticed this phenomenon in 1610, when he saw that all pointed away from the sun, no matter where in the solar system they came from. The force behind all these particles reflecting off the sails really, so much so that any mission to Mars for a few thousand miles of displacement thanks to this photon wind. The Iteris was launched in May 2002, and using a super thin sail, 7.5 micrometers thick, and 14 by 14 meters, beat Venus in 6 passing by at almost 400 kilometers an hour. It's accelerating times that speed by now, as it carries on. Photons are not the only part of the wind we can use though, since there are electric sails that would harness the charged particles emitted by the sun. Similar to the solar sail, they could also use the particle reflections from a magnetic or electric field to gain momentum. NASA is currently working on an e-sail that would have around 20 wires in the central hub. The wires would be just a millimeter thick, but almost 20 kilometers long, and the sail would spin and keep them all stretched out like a gigantic spider web, propelling the spacecraft along. As terrifying as that would be for arachnophobes, it sure makes for a futuristic space. Sure, a sail is basically free power, but by the time you blow your way across the ice from Dublin to New York, you're definitely going to be too late to check in and to make it. Sure. So you might need something a little bit more powerful and faster out in space. Introducing ion thrusters. Ions are atoms or molecules that have a positive or negative charge because their number of protons and electrons don't match as they do in a regular atom or molecule. Those ion drives involve bombarding the fuel with electrons so to knock free other electrons and create a plasma of positive ions and free electrons. This plasma is like a gas controlled by an electric field, so the drive is selling plasma out of the exhaust to create thrust. Nowhere near the power of a rocket drive, you wouldn't even be able to push over a mouse, let alone launch a SpaceX 1 was launched in 1990, and it had an ion drive, but its thrust was about the same strength as a downward force exerted by Earth's gravity on one sheet of paper. Scotty, engage warp drive. The Dawn probe was sent out to explore Vesta and Ceres, asteroids and its ion drive used just 385 kilograms of Zenith, which is the usual fuel, to increase its velocity by 10 kilometers a second. So it all adds up. But we're still a few years off being able to use ion thrusters to travel vast distances. But an increasingly more exciting prospect is the emergence of the M-Drive. British scientist Roger Scheuer designed the drive in 2001, and it appears to create thrust without releasing any propellant, something we had thought was impossible. Well, most scientists still do believe it's impossible, and have treated it highly suspiciously. The way it works is, I'm going to be honest here, I don't understand this one, because it seems to break physics so clearly that I'm sure Roger Scheuer has made a deal with Space Satan. But here's the general rule. The M-drive uses solar power to create microwaves. These microwaves go into a blunted cone called a resonant cavity thruster. The microwave bounces with a larger force on the wide end than on the narrow end. Why it does this is the big argument, and some say it's down to an as-yet unproven concept called Unruh radiation, which is predicted by Einstein's general relativity but hasn't been observed yet. But trying to understand all this is like being 4 years old and listening to your parents spell things out that they don't want. What is this B? Is it any good? Can I take Teddy? Does it obey Newton's second law? There are now plans to soon send an M-drive into space to see if it will work there in the vacuum, so we can argue about something else instead. Roger Scheuer is exactly what you'd expect a scientist to look like, a dishevelled, white-haired old man. Ideas come from much more when it's scientific. At just 19, Egyptian physicist Aisha Mustafa proposed an idea for a drive that would use the very vacuum of space itself to provide thrust. Now, a vacuum is not as empty as we initially believed. Every part of space is filled with virtual particles. Despite the name, they do actually exist, just for incredibly tiny periods of time. In 1940, these particles predicted virtual particles would result in real physical forces. The way to observe them is to put two reflective mirrors just nanometers apart. Their close proximity means that you limit the ways electromagnetic vibration happen within this space, compared to the space on the outside of the two mirrors, where there are more modes of vibration. So you get more pressure on the outside and a force is created, pushing the mirrors together. It's called the static effect. In 1970, Gerald Moore came up with the dynamic casualty effect, which is a lot more dynamic. This involves vibrating the two mirrors at a very high speed, close to the speed of light. The field does not have time to adjust at this velocity, and it could produce real photons. This is where the thrust comes from in Mustafa's drive. So, if you run around for a few hours wrapped in 2 layers of shiny tinfoil, you might create enough thrust to go into space. These are just a few of the leading ideas for futuristic space travel. There are plenty of others banging around. There's the Buzzard ramjet, which would use 1,000-kilometer wide fields to scoop up all the hydrogen atoms scattered throughout space, before compressing them enough so that you get nuclear fusion. There's also the proposed Alcubierre drive, which would contract space in front of it and expand space behind it. Moving faster than light. It's actually mathematically possible, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It will require exotic matter, and not the kind you find under a teenager's bed. Of course, scientists are a complicated bunch, and maybe they have just overlooked an obvious solution. If mankind really wants to travel to the stars, perhaps we all just need to get out and push. But seriously, it's only a matter of time before we can travel as fast or even faster than the speed of light. It will happen. The solution could come from a leading scientist or one of those annoyingly genius-level kids at a school science fair. When it does happen, we'll have a whole universe to explore. Our very own No Man's Sky. Let's just hope the real version is more interesting. Thanks for the view. Subscribe for more. 42. Some photos can tell rich, detailed stories. Others inspire 1,000 questions. Known to the Japanese as Miyagi, this island volcano last erupted in June 2000.
Hey, 42 here. What is mankind's plan B for when poor old Earth has ceased to be? Gone to meet its maker, rung down the curtain and joined the choir invisible. What happens when Earth is an ex-planet? Well then, it's time to hop over the fence and set up camp in our neighbour's garden, even if it is a red, desolate wasteland. Just over 78 million kilometres away, on average, farthest into my neighbour best candidate to sustain. And we're not talking about just going and living in a caravan full of baked beans and oxygen. We're talking about a full, proper civilization, out walking on the surface of the red planet. So is this really possible? Could we actually make Mars into a place where humanity can survive? Could we breathe? Could we grow food? Are there any good bars? Today, we look at the steps we would need to take to become the Martians of the future. Now, getting to Mars is something of a challenge, and it could take anywhere between 150 to 300 days, depending on space traffic. But this time frame is perfectly manageable, although a bit boring. The real issue here, though, is getting the huge volume of stuff we need to colonize from the surface of Earth out into space and then over to Mars. Right now, it costs around $25,000 to get just 1 kilogram into orbit around Earth. And although the money is obviously expensive, think of all the resources, time and dedication it takes to launch just 1 rocket into space. Never mind a continuous fleet of spaceships travelling to Mars with supplies. Think how much effort is on the International Space, and that's only 400 tons. That would barely fill the 2 One proposed idea is to build a space elevator. It's a simple concept. You just need a cable attached to the Earth that extends out beyond the By that, I mean the orbital distance where a satellite rotates at the same speed as the Earth. So it stays in exactly the same position out in space as the start of the elevator back on Earth. The cable would have a counterweight at the end. The counterweight would swing around like a tetherball, and the centrifugal force would be enough to counteract the Earth's gravity, which would mainly be acting on the lower end of the cable, having much less influence on the further away parts and the counterweight itself. This would keep the cable taut, and now you can spin an elevator up and down it, using much less propulsion than you'd need for a rocket. Some putting 1 kilogram of supplies into orbit down from $25,000 to under $250. The obvious technical difficulty is building a cable that would need to be around 100,000 kilometers long. But with the development of materials such as carbon nanotubes, it's beginning to look more and more possible. The cable cars, called climbers, would probably use rollers to pull themselves up using friction. But there's a limit to how fast they could go up the cable, partly because of the strength of the material, but also because as you get higher, you are picking up huge horizontal speed caused by the rotation of the Earth. This is called Coriolis. You also need to power the so you'd either need a powerful nuclear reactor, or the most likely, to beam the energy up to the climber using a laser, meaning less weight actually being carried on the vehicle itself, and more room for snacks. So, if the elevator does work, and all we need to get material into space is listen to a few days of awful elevator review, the next step is sending everything over to Mars. And this is where the moon could come in very useful. The moon would never be able to have an atmosphere, so it's hopeless as a colonization prospect. But its lack of atmosphere is actually a huge advantage. This means there is no friction. The great science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke discusses this in his non-fiction collection, Voices from the Sky. It's worth pointing out that he also popularised the idea of a space elevator in his 1969 novel, The Fountains of Paradise. One idea that Clarke put forward is that you could build a giant space gun that would fire spacecraft down a track on the moon's surface and fling them out into space. The craft would only need small propulsion rockets to make adjustments for its entry into Mars. The space gun wouldn't be possible on Earth because the friction of the atmosphere would heat, and you'd probably kill about 1 million pigeons every journey, as well as everyone aboard. But on the moon, with a track just 30 kilometers long, you could get the acceleration you need and remain under the 10 G that astronauts currently experience when they leave Earth. If you weren't sending people, you could use a much shorter track as well. The technology that we currently use for maglev trains would work extremely well for this purpose, using a magnetic field to both float the vehicle above the track and to move forward. This is why Elon Musk and others are looking into creating vacuum train tunnels for terrestrial transport. No air equals no friction. speaking of Elon Musk, the amazing achievement of the privatization of space travel is probably what will make this colonization project a reality. We're still going to need rockets, at the very least to build and maintain space stations. But when Falcon 9 landed on an automated drone ship this April after sending supplies onto the International Space Station, it showed that we can finally start reusing rockets, potentially turning a $60 million trip into just $600,000 for fuel and maintenance. To get started off, we need some pre-made living spaces. They'd probably initially be something like those put forward by the Mars. A small series of containers you could link up, therefore just shut off one part. When it comes to keeping the astronauts alive, well, Mars has a very important feature. Thanks to the work of the first Martian, the hard-working Curiosity rover, we now know that there are all of the basic elements we need in the ground and the atmosphere, so we can create breathable air from what is already there. There is ice in the soil as well that could be used both as drinking water and to produce oxygen. There's nitrogen in the atmosphere, so we could make our favourite cocktail of Earth-style air, more or less. So that's water and air covered, but what about food? Future colonisation attempts on Mars, such as Mars 1, plan to send a boatload, spaceship load, full of fresh food to the planet in advance, so it will be waiting for the colonists when they arrive. But when that food runs out, well, let's say things get pretty grim. The Martians will live mostly on a diet of algae and insects. Food will be produced hydroponically using artificial light. Martian soil will be used for plants and carbon dioxide as light provided from the Martian atmosphere. The nutrients from the plant, however, will come from recycled waste. Lovely. And if we move beyond just the basics of keeping people alive, what about things like communication? Even though you've moved millions of miles away, your grandma is still going to expect a call at Christmas to explain why you aren't married yet and why you should get a real job rather than all this fancy space nonsense. Depending on the relative speed, a message travelling at the speed of light can take around 22 minutes to go from one planet to the other. That means phone calls are out of the question. But internet messaging will be fine, so one day the solar system will be cluttered with a constant stream of Earth. So, how's Mars? Desert icon, skull and crossbones, sad face. One other idea that Arthur C. Clarke put forward in Voices from the Sky is that you could use lasers to beam much higher volumes of data. If you make use of the moon once again, lasers will be distorted by Earth's atmosphere. So messages could be sent that short distance to the moon via radio waves and then converted to the more powerful laser form and vice versa. This means large data dumps of technical information could be much easier, and you wouldn't need to limit the colonizers' communication. So the Martian folks will be able to send all the messages that they want from Mars to Earth. Yeah, we get it, you guys are holding a Mars bar on Mars. Very funny. But now we come to the really important question. Can we make the whole planet in terms of the environment they can survive in? Is that pressure that's very important? Of course, we could spend all our time in spacesuits, but it wouldn't really be a normal life. And it would make Martian Next Top Model a whole lot more repetitive. Besides, no one wants to spend all day in a suit. The atmosphere on Mars is mainly carbon dioxide, and it's at a far lower pressure than we have on Earth. At our sea level, the pressure is about 100 kilopascals. To make life easier, we normally refer to this as one atmosphere. The lowest pressure us puny humans can breathe in is about 0.4 atmospheres. Anything under 0.2 would require us to wear a suit. Mars is all the way down at 0.01 atmospheres. You really don't want to go out. In 1966, a technician was testing a spacesuit in a vacuum chamber. The suit failed, and there was a rapid loss of pressure. The man quickly fell unconscious, but he recalled that the last sensation he had before he passed out was feeling the saliva boiling on his body. So, without a spacesuit on Mars, he would rapidly boil alive before exploding dramatically. To increase the pressure of the atmosphere, we we would face some major issues. One of the biggest being that Mars lacks Earth's powerful magnetic field, called the magnetosphere. The Sun creates a solar wind, a stream of matter such as protons, electrons, and alpha particles that are sent out in all directions. The part of the Earth facing the Sun, the day side, is shielded from the particle breeze by the magnetosphere and deflects much of it away, keeping us safe. Some does enter through the poles, and this is how you get the aurora, otherwise known as the northern or southern lights. We believe Earth has this magnetic field because of its liquid outer core. The moving molten metal deep inside the Earth acts like a dynamo, just like how the spinning metal of a bicycle wheel creates an electrical field that can power a light bulb. Mars once had a magnetic field too, but eventually the planet's core cooled down, and now its core is totally solid, so magnetic field. Without the protection of the magnetosphere, the solar wind explodes, thinning it out. We have not yet come up with a good solution to this problem. What we do is a variety of ways that we could at least once again and raise the temperature. How cold it was and not frozen. The CO2 will be released in the atmosphere and will then act as a greenhouse, like it is problematic on Earth. This would then warm the planet, and you could use simple life forms like phytoplankton to convert some of that carbon dioxide into oxygen. You could then slowly introduce more complicated organisms and carefully build the ecosystem. As our knowledge of genetic engineering grows, we will probably be able to alter the organisms to work better in each changing environment. We'll also be able to make 6 arms, dolphins, and dangerously fat mice, just because we can and it's funny. So, how would we give the planet that initial kick of energy to release all the CO2 and create the desired greenhouse effect? Well, one idea put forward is to just bounce more sunlight off the pole with a series of giant mirrors. We could use a substance called PET to project very quick while maintaining a reflective surface. It would be pretty slow though, and I'm not sure Mars would want to be staring at its awful red face in the mirror every day. A quicker method, although much more difficult, would be to go asteroid hunting. If we could find a few massive asteroids, rich in ammonia, since this is also an excellent greenhouse gas, and smash them into Mars, then it would really speed up the process. But it would be a bit more complicated than asteroids into bigger ones to put them on the path that we want. But all of these challenges are just going to make us push all that bit harder to find a solution. And every year, new technologies are emerging and new ideas and approaches come from across the globe. Of course, we still haven't thought about the question of Martian society. Who knows what new religions and cults will spring up on the red planet? And will it be a separate nation? Have a whole new set of laws of its own? Will it be a Papa John's? We're all dying to know, but we'll just have to wait and see what the next few decades brings. I'd like to thank Squarespace for supporting me on this video, which helps me to make better content. If you want to make a super slick site without knowing all the technical jargon, well, Squarespace makes it super easy with their intuitive tools. You can make professionally designed sites super quick, regardless of your experience, without writing a line of code. They'll even give you a free domain name if you sign up for a year. Click the link in the description to start your free trial today at squarespace.com/40. Make sure you use the offer code 40 for 10% off your first purchase. Thanks for the view, subscribe for more. Welcome to the weirdest city in Alaska, Whittier. But Whittier is the city that forgot the city because it is home to just 220 people, and they all live in one building. In 2006, a man from Portland, Oregon hired a hitman to kill his wife. His wife ended up killing a hitman with her death. Hey, 40 here, and welcome to Skierby, one of the 19 municipalities of Brussels. On the 18th of May 2003, Skierby held a local election using electronic voting machines. All it was noted that one candidate received 4,096 extra votes. That couldn't have been possible, considering the total number of voters that attended.
This wasn't just a small anomaly, this was a major hiccup. Something had gone seriously wrong with the vote. There was a large investigation, and the electronic voting machines used in the election were thoroughly checked over. Even the source code for the software was scrutinized to try and find a bug that would explain 4,096 votes out of nowhere. But it wasn't a software bug. It was caused by something that nobody could have anticipated. A charged particle from outer space. Several hundred light years away, hundreds of years ago, a star exploded in a galaxy far, far away. This violent supernova emitted cosmic rays, trillions of charged particles. They will travel through space indefinitely at close to the speed of light. But one of these particles set out to a lifelong goal it was determined to achieve, to disrupt the counter-global election of 2003. This tiny terrorist travelled through the inky black for hundreds of years. It finally planet Earth, and in a show of defiance penetrated its magnetic field before slamming